All right, today I want to talk about Bradley Cooper. You know, when I finally released my long-awaited podcast, he's going to be my white whale, the guy I want to interview. He's been sober for going on 20 years now. First, quick story on him. He once got held at knife point on a subway, ended up just knee-jerk reacting, knocked it out of the guy's hand and took off. But he ran to a cop, and the cop said, "Are you sure you haven't been stabbed?" Because a lot of people don't realize it because they go into shock. And I once, long ago in my 20s, we had a company outing. We were going to the Celtics game, taking a bus, and this guy, Daryl Gould, forgot something in the office, jumped off the bus, ran across the parking lot, and got hit by a car. But he assured us, "I'm totally fine, totally fine." Well, by the time we got into Boston, it was about an hour drive. He was a mess. Had the shakes, the cold sweats, etc., and we had to take him to the hospital. It was, well, I can't take credit. But, yeah, and I learned right then and there what shock really is. It's crazy. But it's also a protective mechanism and makes me feel a little better for people that get stabbed. But anyway, Bradley Cooper, he went on the SmartLess podcast with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman and the other guy, Sean, from Will and Grace, and he was talking about how Will Arnett is really the guy that inspired him to get sober. You know, when Bradley was in his he was 25, he was in he had a role in Alias, and he said he felt like he was back in high school. That impacted his self-esteem. Now think of this, beautiful looking man, and he said he couldn't get into any clubs. No girls wanted to look at me. He said I was totally depressed, and in order to overcome his insecurities, he not only got even more dependent on drugs and alcohol, I believe it was both, but he said he adopted a mean humor based on popular comedians at the time. I've tried adopting that, or I did it myself in the past. And he said he ended up discovering he was just plain mean to others. He said he was once at a dinner party with Will Arnett when he was 29 that made him realize he had hit rock bottom. You know, he remembered being at the party thinking he was so funny, and those two guys were his heroes, and he thought he was completely entertaining them, and he thought he was great, and he was killing it. But no, Will Arnett had asked him, he said, "How do you think you did last night?" He said, "Yeah, I killed it." He said, "No, you were a total jerk." And Bradley said that was the first time I ever realized I had a problem with drugs and alcohol. The guy that I think is doing mean humor, meaning Will Arnett, is telling him the truth, and it changed my life. So kudos to Will Arnett, by the way, for having that hard conversation. And he said Arnett also asked him if he'd taken out his dog yet that day because it was already 4 p.m. and he hadn't. So he said that was a pivotal moment in his career. He said, "I was so lost and I was addicted to cocaine." And he said Will took the risk of having that hard conversation, which is so key and something in sobriety I embrace, having difficult conversations. But he said that put him on the path to deciding to change his life. He said that was the reason. And he said how grateful he was to have started that before he became truly famous. And, that's something I've thought about. I knew I wanted to get sober before I bought my pizza shop 50 yards from a liquor store, and I didn't. And that led to 5 years of disaster. And I've also thought I need to get sober before, say, I lose my parents and I face other challenges, or before I become famous myself. Thank God now, 18 plus months, going on infinity. So it's so key. You cannot wait. There's never a good time to stop drinking. You just have to do it. So a couple more things. He said, well, first, I love how Will Arnett said, "It made me so happy to see how happy you are with who you've become." Beautiful. And Bradley Cooper said it was between the age of 29 to 34. He worked hard at sobriety and had an ongoing journey of self-acceptance thanks to therapy. But it took until he was 46. He said, "Quite honestly, I can sit in front of you today and tell you I have self-esteem, and it's not related to any outside thing like his looks." He said, and I didn't have that for 46 years. He didn't have self-esteem. So, those of you struggling with it, saying you're sorry all the time, it's my Canadian accent, etc., this is something that will come by doing the work through recovery. If it took him that long, it's going to take you a while. So you got to stay sober, stay patient, but it will come. And I love he also talked about having a child and how much that changed and gave meaning to his life. I should try it, but in lieu of that, I should try a pet, which my therapist and coach have also recommended in the past. And I really wish, I felt I had, was at the place in my life where I had it, including had a yard for it. But someday. But if you're in a position for it, highly recommend it. So I'll end it on that. As always, stronger, sober. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.